Hi, this is Steve Michelotti of the Azure Government Engineering team. I'm joined here today by Sam Chan, one of my colleagues, also on the Azure Government Engineering team. And Sam, your team is particularly responsible for AI and ML on Azure Gov, so we're excited to have you here today. And
Thank you,
you're
Steve.
talking to us about bot services.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so why don't we start out and just, even before we start diving into bot services, why don't we talk about just more of the big picture about AI and ML in Azure Gov?
Yeah, absolutely.
We talk about this a lot. Like, how do we want people to think about our platform on Azure Government?
Cool. I get that quite a lot from our customers and partners because I think the kind of myth of AI/ML is still fairly thick right now. And here's a simple slide about how we at Microsoft are investing into artificial intelligence and machine learning. And there's basically like 4 levels of infrastructure and services that we do on our platform. So the first one and the simplest one, and the one we're going to show today, is our pre-trained models. We obviously have a lot of experience inside our Microsoft Research, our Bing capabilities, where we have pre-trained machine learning models after years and decades of experience that we expose to you to use, whether it be for vision, whether it be for speech or language, to infuse into your applications. Now, obviously, with a lot of customers, when they want to do something a little more sophisticated, they want to tune those models to detect something for their specific scenario, they begin wanting to customize. We also have that layer in our service as well, where we have customization across our vision services, across our speech, across our language, so they can start tinkering and pointing these machine learning models to your specific app.
So with the pre-built AI, we're talking about the cognitive services,
You're
quote unquote?
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's an interesting point, because a lot of times people hear cognitive services in Microsoft and they say that is your AI. But that's only step 1, as you pointed out.
That is absolutely correct. It's only the first step. And actually, most of our customers that we deal with, that's the first step into their journey, where they kind of delve deeper and deeper into building better and better models for whatever artificial intelligence they want to do. Kind of segueing to what you're saying is, now they kind of started customizing it, you might want to even raise your model performance even further. That's where our powerful infrastructure for machine learning and training actually comes in. So we support all types of neural nets, whether you use PyTorch, TensorFlow, whatever else is in the industry. And we also have cutting-edge, state-of-the-art GPU clusters on our cloud, so you can train and manage data very, very quickly and go customize your models as you need be.
Okay, great. And that's also important for cost management, because if I'm just a developer, maybe I'm doing some models, I can spin up a VM with CPU.
Yeah.
But if I have a really large data set, now I need to spin up that GPU cluster and do some serious work.
I would also like to touch on that we also have services for specifically scaling out experiments like Batch AI, where you can run hundreds or even thousands of experiments in parallel, leveraging what you said, lots of GPU clusters, lots of CPU clusters for whatever experiments on demand.
Okay, makes sense. Great. Okay, so now that we've talked about the approach in general, let's dive a little deeper on this.
Sure, absolutely. Before I kind of touch on, and because I know this space, especially in the industry, is something sensitive, is I want to kind of show that not only are we investing in the technology and infrastructure for supporting AI and ML, we're also trying to be thought leaders about how we approach these problems and how we make sure that the models we create are fair, are sensitive, and are doing the right thing for industry and for society in general. So one of the key things we do in any project is our AI principles, where we make sure, we call it FATE, make sure all the models in AI that we do build, whether it be for ourselves, whether it be for our customers or partners, are fair, are accountable, are transparent, and are ethical. So that's going to be something you'll see us touch on as we go into the demo as well.
I think that's a really important point. I mean, especially some of the press releases, some of our executives point out, Satya and people, I think those are really important points. And I'm really happy that you've seen our leadership putting those statements out.
Yeah, and that resonates through the rest of the company too.
Definitely. Okay, so let's keep going.
Cool. So what we're going to be showing today is the Azure Bot Service. This is a cloud service where you can actually create chatbots on demand, and it gives you a lot of integration with the SDK, with security, as well as with artificial intelligence and machine learning. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to build a bot. We're going to start with a very simple question and answer bot, and as we run into problems, we try to infuse our language understanding, speech analytics into it, so that we can make it intelligent in how it responds to customer.
Okay, so is the best way to think about it that Azure Bot Service is one of our cognitive services, but I can also use other cognitive services in conjunction with it?
You're absolutely correct.
Okay.
So the best thing out of cognitive services is that they work very well together. Many of our customers and partners, you don't want just one AI solution, right? You might want to start with some text, then you want to start enabling some custom vision or computer vision to extract stuff out of images, then you want to implement text translation, for example. All these things work together, and Bot Service is a great platform to bring all these services for a given solution.
Okay, sounds good.
Kind of going into what cognitive services is, and this will be a lot for a lot of people. But as I spoke before, there is vision, speech, language, knowledge, search, and labs. And there's a customization layer for all of these cognitive services as well. Today in our demo, I'm going to go into how we can build basically a TSA pre-check chatbot using our text analytics and language understanding so that we can start infusing AI into our bot service.
That's cool. So we have a scenario we're going to use the TSA pre-check, but we've actually seen a lot of other customers like state and local governments. They want to put a chatbot out there for citizen services. So instead of a citizen going to a big FAQ website, they can go and talk to a chatbot. So there's so many different use cases for this kind of thing.
What I'm going to be super excited about is this is just the tip of the iceberg, really. I'm only showing language because that's obviously what's most applicable because you're conversing with a bot, right? But in terms of implementing vision into your application as well, that is just a simple REST API call, just like any other of our cognitive services. So you can start expanding your bot service to do whatever you want.
Great. Okay, before we get into a demo, I see that you've got this language understanding, or what we refer to as LUIS. And that comes up again and again when we're talking about the bot services context specifically. Can you just give us a little bit more information on what is LUIS?
Yeah, great question, Steve. So what the language understanding interface service does is it basically takes any sort of given text and it can extract the intent, key phrases, and sentiment out of that phrase. So I'll give you an example where I say like, hey, I'm trying to build a chatbot where if I see an error, I want to escalate to a customer service representative, for example. Now, there's a lot of way of kind of asking that question. So how do I build AI so that, excuse me, given a certain question, I can recognize the intent out of it? So saying, hey, I have a website error or your website isn't working, that can still direct you to the right path. Language understanding can give you that mapping because it looks at the sentence on the whole, takes the context, and gives you a score about, hey, I think this person is actually asking this question given this phrase.
Okay, very cool. All right, well, with that context, this is probably a good segue to get into our demo.
Awesome. So what I'm going to show is kind of build you this live to make it as real as possible. So we'll go to the portal, spin up a bot service, infuse it with language understanding using an AI pre-built model, and see how it does.
Okay, great.
Cool. So here we are at the Microsoft Azure Government portal, as you guys are well known, and we're going to make a new bot service. So I'm going to click on the Cognitive Services blade right here. And you can see that's being displayed when I click on Add, all the various cognitive services you can actually deploy onto Azure Government. So we have computer vision, we have content moderation, we have language understanding, which I described earlier, and then we have our web bot. So let's go ahead and create that. Now, let's give our bot a name. So given our scenario of, hey, we're trying to build a bot service to help with TSA pre-check applications. Let's create a new resource group to host our bot in. We'll keep the location in US Gov Virginia. Our name is fine as well. And here is where it's interesting, where we can actually customize the template we start our bot services up with. So you can see there are two kind of simple ones where we can build a simple echo bot. Whatever you say it to it, it will kind of respond back to you. Or a basic bot that starts to have a little bit of intelligence to it. It could start detecting some intent around greetings, around help, around cancel. And you can also make it very easily extendable to whatever intent you're trying to detect out of language understanding, so you can build an intelligent bot.
So it really gives you some nice starter code, a good place to start in and then pick up from there.
Not only is it easy to start in, it's also very easy to extend that I'll show you later in the code for this bot.
Excellent.
Cool. So let's select basic bot. We'll then make a new app service to host the web front end that you can chat with this bot in. So let's create a new one. And let's keep the location to the same place as well. Let's do a quick check on this. So we have our bot name, our subscription, everything is looking good. We'll make a new storage account to hold our information, and we can go on and click create.
Okay, so we'll just let this spin up briefly here, and then we will be able to use our new bot.
Sounds good, Steve.
Okay, great.
So here we are at the portal again, where we have our created resource group with our bot, with our app service hosting it, as well as our storage account that holds all the information we need to power our artificial intelligence scenario. So the neat thing here is when we actually create the bot, it's already hooked up, as I said before, to our language understanding endpoint, and you can already have a little bit of capability into it. So let's go test that. So we can test this right in the portal. Let's just say hello to our bot.
So right off the bat, we saw an example of intent. You could have said hi or hello or hey there, and it recognizes that some type of greeting intent.
You're absolutely correct, Steve. And I can actually have that same intent detection in when I get provided my name as well. So I'll say, my name is Samuel. So it grabs my name. It knows that I'm telling it its name, and now it's storing it inside the bot's memory.
Lightweight state management. It remembers your name.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I'll tell it Seattle. Great. So now it's trying to put state management and trying to build this bot experience for me. So let's say now I'm actually trying to apply for my TSA pre-check, and I'm having an issue with the website. So you can see the bot is saying, I don't detect this intent because I haven't populated and trained a neural net behind this so that I can detect this sentence and know there's an issue with the website in the first place.
Okay.
What's actually more interesting is with our language understanding, you actually don't need to give it spell check or account for every single context. With machine learning, it can actually recognize grammatical errors. So you can see here I'm saying have instead of having, and know what your intent is that you're trying to provide to your bot.
Okay, great.
Cool. So now that we're here, let's try to extend our bot so that we can actually have it recognize an intent when it sees an error from its customers. So let's now go to our Lewis application on the portal to see how we can start extending it to take advantage of how we can understand this context and apply that artificial intelligence into our bot. So here's our language understanding portal, and you see there's our TSA pre-check bot that has a language understanding endpoint already attached to it. If I go into here, I can already see it's already recognized the intent for cancellations, for greetings, for helps, and as well as a catch-all when it doesn't recognize something. So let's make a new one. Let's call it website error. And let's start feeding in some examples about, hey, here's what I want you to start learning about when you recognize website errors. So let's say I am having an issue with your website. Your website doesn't work. I am getting some sort of error message. Help me, website is broken. I get an error pop-up on your website. So with the very simple 5 phrases, I can start training the neural net behind this to generate a model for it to detect website errors and apply that back into my bot service. So let's click train.
So we can do initial training, but then even after it's been in production for a few days, I can add more trainings based on the learnings that I'm seeing as customers are using my site.
What's even more interesting is it logs all the bad or intents into your Lewis understanding. So you can actually pick and say like, hey, I'm seeing a lot of customers that are asking this question this way, and feed it back to machine learning to customize my model to detect that intent as well.
Very
cool. So now that it's trained my intent, I should now be able to extend it so that it can actually recognize that intent. But I need to make a little bit of change to my front end so that I can start getting the logic to do this. So the neat thing with bot is that it's very easily extensible, and I can download the source code for my bot right here to work in Visual Studio, and that's typically how you do it in production. Given that this is a demo, I'm actually going to make my edits right here in the portal and actually build and compile and redeploy my bot with this new intent and see what happens.
Okay, so it's good for testing. Yes, and as you said, in production we'd use Visual Studio and more code-based, but nice to be able to do this quick testing right in the browser.
Yep, so here it comes up, and here's my project. And the logic that we're going to apply to recognize this website error intent is going to be here in basic.bot.c#. So you can see here inside the code that it already recognizes the basic intents. Let's make a new one called website error.
So this is corresponding to what you just set up in the Lewis portal.
Exactly.
Looks like a little syntax thing on your constant keyword.
Yes. Oh, there you go. I think the neat thing with this is that it's the full-fledged IDE experience right in the web.
Definitely.
Perfect. Now let's add this so that it can actually handle when it sees this website error intent that comes up. So we go all the way down.
And this code that we're looking at here is the same thing that if I were to download the Visual Studio starter code, it's the exact same code.
Exactly. As you can see here, it is already handling the help intent. So we can just copy this and apply it to website error instead.
Okay.
Let's give it a custom answer saying, I understand you are having an issue with the website. And I'll just comment this out where it kind of gives all the other commands. So with this very simple change, I can now basically extend my bot to also recognize website errors given the intent detection that comes from my AI model that I just trained with Lewis.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and build this. Oh, there it is.
Oh, so not only did you change C# code, but you're actually compiling right here in place.
Correct. It also takes the compiled code and pushes back into my app service, and that logic that I just implemented for detecting website intent is going to be pushed right back into my service.
Okay, so that's a really nice feature.
Okay, great. I built my new logic for my bot service and pushed it up. Let's actually, oh, I forgot one thing, Steve. We actually have to publish the new trained model I just trained with Lewis. So let's go ahead and do that.
Good point. We made the change, but forgot to actually hit publish. So let's, good thing you remembered that.
There you go. It's published. So now let's go back to our bot and see if it can recognize my website errors now. So here's my bot again. I'll just start over. And now let's say I have an issue with your website.
Okay, so you intentionally made the grammatical error, and that was not a grammatical error that you actually trained Lewis with.
Good catch. That's exactly the power of Lewis, is that you can actually supply it just enough training data, and it'll start recognizing things that don't really match what your customers are actually trying to say to you. This is very useful for all the spelling errors and grammar errors you typically see when interacting with a chatbot. And you can see here, I understand that you're having an issue with the website, and I'll start extending from there. This is really the power of Lewis, where I can always go back here and add additional intent detections to supply really any scenario I want to apply to my bot service. And you can not only stop there, you can start applying computer vision and any other sort of cognitive services to extend your bot to do whatever you want to support your customers and citizens.
So just a few short minutes, you created a bot on Azure Government and applied custom intents to actually start customizing the behavior of the out-of-the-box bot that was provided.
Yeah, this is what makes me super excited about AI and ML. Not only do we provide services that can help our customers out of the box, which is very useful to get started, but we know our customers and partners want to customize for their given application. With things like Lewis and what we have in the portal, you can do that very easily and very scalably.
Okay, great. Okay, this has been Steve Michelotti with Sam Chan of Azure Government Engineering with AI and ML, talking about bot service on Azure Government. Thanks for watching.